Alright, g'day, howdy, how are ya? This is Ashbro, and I was just thinking I might comment on Rick and Morty on the first episode of season 1, just to show you guys that it's full of wisdom. Maybe it's my interpretation, but it's a really good show for extracting wisdom. It is layered, so it's not all on the surface. It's in metaphors, analogies. Sometimes you've got to cross associate different scenes and different episodes to get it. But at the end of every Rick and Morty episode, it will say, "Did you get that?" And from the very first time I watched it, I was like, "This is pretty genius," but I didn't actually know what the genius in it was. It was just my impression, and so now I'm going to go through it and just find some of that genius. So, first scene. Rick drags Morty out of bed, says, come on, I got a surprise for you. So it's reference to the mystery. What is the surprise? Now they're in the flying car that Rick made out of garbage lying around in his garage. Notice that the car is slightly different to the car in the future. It's made of garbage. It's got duct tape lights. It has a sail on the back of it. And garbage bins on the side. Rick says, sorry, I had to do it. I had to make a bomb. The world's obviously out of control. Rick is making a bomb because that's within his control. He's a bit like a stoic in that he doesn't ever seem to do things that aren't within his control. You know, he's got a good sense of, this is something that I can do, so I will do it. So saying, it'll be good. We're gonna go pick up your friend Jessica. Okay, so now he's introducing a fictional dream of the future. It's not here yet, right? He's made the bomb. That's here. But he's introducing a dream to Morty where Morty and his high school crush Jessica are the main stars. And they're going to be like Adam and Eve. And Morty's going, oh wow, like at any other time that would be tempting to Morty. But he's against it. He can't even accept it because Morty has values and has a sense of right and wrong. So he's refused. He said, no, I can't do it. Because his values are like a leaning post. And then it doesn't matter what the world offers. He knows that what he will do and what he won't do. Now Rick has changed the signpost again. He's saying, don't worry, I'm not going to cheat on you, cheat with Jessica, whatever. You can trust me, I'm not that sort of guy. So again, so he's brought it full circle back around. Because Morty refused the first dream, now Rick is inferring that Morty refused it because maybe he has hang-ups about why the dream won't become real. So he's changed the subject again to say, no, it's okay. Any hang-ups you have, you don't have to worry about that. However, Morty is still refusing it. He's stuck in his values. He knows what's right, which is a great quality that Morty has. Morty's becoming assertive. He's really against this. So there's no way that Rick can carry out his bad agenda of blowing up the world and have Morty on his side. So suddenly, what does Rick do? He's changed his mind. Because that's something within his control. Rick is completely dispassionate. He doesn't care what happens at all in the external world. He didn't care if he bombed the world or not. What he cares about seems to be that he's making decisions himself. And now he tells Morty it was a test to make him more assertive, regardless of whether that's true or not. It definitely is the truth that Morty did become more assertive. He's reinforced his assertion. He's become more resolute in his values. And I'm going to skip the intro. And now Rick is with his family at the breakfast table. Now we know that this isn't this Rick's family, and we know that because later Rick has a memory of his wife and daughter Beth being blown up. So this Rick, of all the Ricks in the Infinite Universe, this Rick is one of the only Ricks who had a complete change in his story, where he lost his family. He lost his family. That's actually not Optus. That's a scam. Watch out for those. He lost his family, and it wasn't his choice. And through that loss, he realized the value of family. Hence, he's visiting another family that isn't his own. He also lost his family before he invented interdimensional travel, which means he didn't get to discover something so tempting that he could go off and voluntarily leave his family and not come back, which is what the Rick in this dimension might have done. This Rick's family has a Rick that has been missing for 20 years. Why? We don't know. Maybe he's dead. That's a lot of people's first assumption. Or maybe he's just like many other Ricks that once they discovered it, interdimensional travel that is, they went off without their family. They only take Morty along. Now I got a spoiler fan theory. It's my own. I haven't heard it anywhere before, but I think, and fast forward 35 seconds if fast forward 1 minute if you don't want to hear it, because it could really wreck the end of the last episodes. But this fan theory says that the Rick of this dimension, who this family belongs to, is the same Rick who killed this Rick's family, and there's going to be some sort of battle of wills in the end to get back with this family. This Rick's obviously going to defend them or have some sort of moral problem in killing that other Rick. That's what I reckon is going to happen. Rick's fallen in his food. Morty's fallen in his food. He's so tired. Someone's about to reveal that he's been on adventures with Rick.
I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Maybe my dreams were just too loud or something.
Maybe you were out all night again with Grandpa Rick.
What?
Dad?
What, so everyone's supposed to sleep every single night now? You realize that nighttime takes up half of all time?
Oh.
Jared.
That's ridiculous what Rick just said then. He says, do you know nighttime takes up half of all time? That's true in a sense if you're indoctrinated into the idea of thinking day and night are two different things. But night is not really night. Night is just shadow. So the one side of the earth's in the way of the sun, so the other side of the world gets a shadow. It's not nighttime. It's just shadow. And if that is the case, then night makes up 99% of the universe, not half of time, 99% of the time. He says there's no God. That's an interesting thing for Rick to say, because Rick at multiple points in time doubts whether there's a God. He suddenly doubts that there's no God and says, if there is a God, blah 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 blah. And there's even one episode in the future where he says that there is a God and we're going to kill him. Now, for Rick to assert that there is no God, that's strange for Rick, because even though he's a genius and he's sure of his knowledge, he's predicting something he cannot possibly know. He doesn't have evidence against there being a real God. So he should say, I can neither assert nor deny there is a God, but most likely, or I'm inclined to think that there isn't. Well, this is my opinion, but he doesn't say that here, which is strange. Now, Jerry's revealing his hang-up about Morty going to school and passing his classes. He thinks that's really important. So this is the first time Rick's been confronted about him taking Morty on sci-fi adventures, and that it's a problem. and he's just said, Jerry, you're like Caesar. This is your house. This is your rules. He's kind of appealed to Jerry's emotions, and he's given his opinion on school, in which he says that school is where you go to learn rules of maths, rules of whatever, and then they give you a piece of paper that says you can go and take a dump. So basically he's saying the school is a place that you go to learn the rules and to learn to ask for permission or approval from some other authority to live your life, even for things that are your business, like whether you need to go to the toilet. So it's not a place for smart people. It's not a place for free people. He said his opinion. Now he's getting up. He's put his knife and fork down. And he says to Beth, he's flattering her. He's saying, you really made the crap out of those eggs. I wish your mother was here to see that. And Beth is tearing up. Now, if you looked at Rick while he was eating dinner, he didn't even finish his eggs. He not only didn't finish his last egg, he had two, but he chopped a piece off it. And he was talking, giving his opinion, and he didn't even feel the inclination to finish the piece of egg. He wasn't enjoying those eggs at all. He just put the piece of egg down on the table and left. So it was total flattery. He's trying to appeal to people's emotions, because what happens is people come to thoughts, and then that inspires emotion. It causes inflection in themselves. Their emotions move. Once that happens, people take themselves out of balance, and often they will just follow the momentum of the emotion. They'll follow the momentum of the thought. And they don't even know why they're doing it. They're just being compelled. They're just being controlled. So what Rick does, and he does this quite a lot, is he appeals to people's emotions, gets them to find balance again, to feel good, and then they don't spiral out of control into hostility and aggression. That's what he did with both of them. Now they're in the classroom, the teacher's talking about math. Without it, we wouldn't even exist. But if you look on the blackboard behind him, he can't actually do maths. All the maths on the board is wrong. 7 minus 3 is 5, I think he said. That's wrong. 2 plus 3 equals 32. Alright, now Morty's going into his daydream. A bunch of numbers. All the numbers are in random chaos. They're not making any sense. And Jessica asks, "What do you know what I name these?" Do you know what I want you to do with them? And Morty gives an interesting answer. He says, rename them. So I'll tell you some more after this. She says, get in there and mess them up, like go crazy, and there are no wrong answers. So
What are you doing to me?
I'm just doing my best. Morty, what are you doing to me? Morty!
okay, so what I think that sort of suggests that is the idea that humans are inferential creatures. We infer things about the world, and we end up making assumptions and projecting that onto the world. So we believe that we have some sort of objective idea of what things are. And Morty's daydream sort of collapsed it all. Everything fell apart. Then he was asked to rename something. Doesn't matter what it is. And shake it up a little bit. Don't be so strict on what things are, that one thing is a single thing. One thing can be many things. It depends on our interpretation. Now here comes Frank. Morty says, morning. Frank says, what is that supposed to mean? And he's twisted it so that it sounds like a cop-out or negative. Are you trying to say my family is poor? Now Morty says, I don't know if a knife is necessary. So, and he twists that to say, are you telling me how to bully? This is all sort of on the same theme of people think that their thought, their inference of what something is the truth. But the fact that you can have 20 people interpret something 20 different ways and none of them interpret it the way that it was meant by that person, says that, one, we're inferential beings, but two, that our interpretations are completely subjective. So I think that's what that's about. Then Rick comes along and freezes Frank. And Morty says, What did you do to Frank? And Rick's reply to that is, it's pretty obvious. I froze him. So he's referencing that you can see what something is. It's self-evidential. Self-evident. Self-evident. Yes. Frank is frozen. But Morty's asking, what did you do to him? As in, is there some sort of deeper meaning? Is there something else? And that's pretty much where our inferences come from. We don't see truth because we see inferences. And we see inferences because we doubt that what is in front of us is really what it is. We question the world. And because we question the world, and we've asked a question, we've inferred there's an answer, and that's what creates room for us to come up with answers. Subjective answers. Millions of them. This is the second time I did this video. The first time I got halfway through the episode, and I got set halfway through, and I realized I wasn't even recording. So how's that? I wonder if I'm recording now. Yeah, it says I am. Wow, that's good. Jerry comes into horse surgery. He wants to hang out with Beth. He's being situationally inappropriate because he's not situation aware. It's lunchtime, so hang out with my wife. He doesn't get the concept that this is not a good time. But Jerry does this a lot. The things he just says what he's thinking. He doesn't think about how it will come across. Now he's suggesting that they put Rick in a retirement home. Rick, who's been gone for 20 years and has just come back. It doesn't make sense. And then there's Beth referencing the self-evident reality of the beeps. They can hear that the horse is dying because the machine's beeping. Okay, I'm going to start talking now about the next events because there's a lot to get through. So Rick's looking for the mega tree. The mega tree looks like a phallic sort of a symbol. It's got balls and it's got like spray coming out the top, which is connected to nuts. Then it's like a metaphor for the phrase "bust a nut." Now Rick's giving a motivational speech or compassionate speech. It's got beautiful music behind it. Sounds very inspiring. Sounds very nice. He's saying, I understand, Morty. New places, new things, they create anxiety in us. That's natural. But the only way that you grow as a person is to charge right in. And then suddenly a monster comes out of nowhere. And Rick is off. He's already off the screen as Morty turns around and sees the monster. He's running, he's screaming for his life, he's saying, we're gonna die, Morty, we're gonna die. What it's sort of referencing that you can't go through life with just aphorisms telling you what to do. There's an exception to every rule, even if they sound nice. There's a lot of people out there that are believing in these ideas just because they like them, just because they tickle our ears. But that doesn't make them true. There's almost always an exception to every rule, except for the exception to this exception. But I put exceptions in my speech anyway, because it's always good to say that, I think something might be, so you're not speaking absolute truth claims, because only when you assert something as truth can you ever find out later that you're a liar. I don't want to be dishonest. I don't want to find myself to be a liar. So I always say things in a way that makes them seem like they're possibilities. So when I say I always do, I just broke my own rule. But generally, that's what I attempt at. And, your attempt is good, because nothing is forever and nothing is perfect. Nothing is absolute. So at least attempt at it. You're gonna fail. You're gonna make errors sometimes, but it's not the end of the world, because as somebody once said, an error is only a mistake if you refuse to correct it. Obviously, it's going to kick a lot of corrections, but you just keep trying, and eventually the habit, it locks itself in there, and you don't have to think about it anymore. So I found their mega nut trees. Rick pulls out some boots. He says, put these boots on and you can walk up and down any surface. But he fails to mention that you have to turn them on, and Rick and Morty falls and breaks his legs. Now, I reckon everything that Rick does is on purpose. I don't think that was a mistake. I think he wanted to fall it and get injured, because the next thing that happens is he has to go and get healing fluid. So he leaves and he comes back, and he brings up this elaborate story of how he went to a future dimension, and time travel's not real in Rick and Morty, otherwise Rick would have gone back and saved his family. But he's gone to another dimension that probably runs at a different rate of speed, therefore they're in the future. It would also explain why his story makes sense. Logically, he could have gone there, spent a lot of time there before it came back. It makes his story sound credible. But all these details, all this elaboration, is a tactic that manipulators use to make a lie seem more believable. Because the person listening goes, oh, look at all the details. It must have been a real event. It's just an assumption that people make. So anyway, he makes this elaborate story, and he says, I ran out of portal gun juice, so we're not going to be able to go back the normal way. And Morty freaks out and goes, oh no, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And Rick says, there's one way, and that is to go through interdimensional customs. But that means you're going to have to put these mega nuts up your rectum, far up your rectum. You need two, and you need to put them up your rectum. And so the next place they go is interdimensional customs, which reinforces the story. But I'm pretty sure all of this is a lie. It's an elaborate lie, and the reason I think it is that is because at breakfast, when Rick found out he was going, Jerry and Beth were going to create trouble for him because they were going to stop him from taking Morty out of school. And I think this entire thing has been planned from breakfast in order to get Morty to shove these mega nuts up his butt, so that at the end of the movie he can show Beth and whoever that Morty's becoming smarter from the adventures, and it just shows what extent Rick will go to get people off his back. He's broken Morty's legs. He's gone to another dimension, searched around for these mega trees. He's gone through interdimensional customs. Put Morty through so much trauma. He's had to shoot people. Run from the government. So we can skip forward now. That's going to save us some time. Okay. Here is,
Come on, Morty. Please.
okay, there's a scene coming up where Principal Vagina says, a student died, and this did not come from a Mexican student, I think he says. And then he says, they always want to take it to a racist place and I won't let them. Now that's genius, because the thing is, you can't be prejudiced or racist or sexist without the terms that the differences are built upon. Words like man or woman, colors, if you pick out colors, of skin colors, ethnicities, religions, you have to have those. They're the cornerstones of the building up of inference that says that this whole thing is devalued and inferior to the assumed other thing. The chasm of difference in value, which is a hierarchical value, must contain a predicate. And if you don't think or speak in those divisive terms, those terms that people can often identify with as themselves or with aspects of reality, like man and woman, lesbian, gay, Mexican, indigenous, any of those words. Normally they're totally equal value, but once you think them, you've put them in your mind and you're able to build on them, and that building on that word is what creates prejudice. Even a racist person can literally not be racist if they do not think of the word as a representative image of somebody in front of them or some group that they believe exists. If they don't think the word, they can't be racist in that moment. So racists aren't racist. Racists are just people who are ignorant of the language that they're using and the processing that's happening in their own brain. So I think that's a really good one. So there's not a lot coming up. I think that I can comment on. There's little gaps in Rick and Morty where 5 minutes. This scene is the next scene, and it looks like Men in Black, inside of the building in Men in Black, and there are all these alien silhouettes. But look at them, and you'll find that there's all these different characters from different things, like top left corner, Space Invaders guy. Below him, Big Bird. Up on the top right, there's an alien from Aliens. I saw something over here. Oh, there's a little monkey there. I don't know what the monkey is. But yeah, you can look through there and see what you can find. One thing in there looked like a Tyrannid from Warhammer, but I'm not sure. It's maybe just inference. And then there's a guy from Star Trek. Rick says, I don't like being told where to go or what to do. He hates bureaucracy. He considers it a violation. And you can see Rick never tells anyone else what to do. What he does, he'll tell them to keep doing something that they're already doing. He will encourage them, but he won't tell them what to do. Instead, he tends to omit information, change facts, use metaphors, so that to put in somebody's mind the wrong information, and so that they'll act on false knowledge. And that's pretty much how he gets by. He gives people the information that he wants them to found their action on. It's hard for me to get my head around how you would think so fast how to do that. But he's a genius. That's why he can do it. Okay, last thing. So there's going to be 10 minutes where I can't say anything. But I'll just skip forward. There's a scene here where he says, shoot those people, Morty. They're robots. So, a great example of what I meant.
My Ferrari's in the shop.
Puts the wrong things in people's head. He was using that as a metaphor. Morty says they're not robots after he blows one of their legs off, and they say Glenn's dying, bring his family. He's got a wife and a child. And Morty's like, gee, nah, they're not robots. And Rick's like, keep shooting them. It was a metaphor. They're bureaucrats. I don't respect them. So you can see how he does his metaphors and makes out that he wasn't lying. And technically, he wasn't lying to himself, but however you could say it's lying to someone else, I guess he is. So I'll skip forward a little bit.
Oh my goodness, Morty! What are you doing out of class? We talked about this. Your parents and I are very disappointed.
Now in the lunchroom, Rick's using a normal person sort of excuse. He goes, no takers, they don't believe him. So he's going along with it now. He's letting them attack him. They're packing up all his stuff. They're going to send him to a retirement home.
What are you guys doing with my stuff?
We're moving you to a nursing home.
A nursing home? What are you, nuts? I'm a genius. I build robots for fun. You can build baskets and watch.
Okay, so now they're up to the point where they're going to blame him.
Scar the Boy Scouts every Christmas. What does that mean? Dad, Mom, come on. Rick just needed my help is all. Morty, stay out of this.
They say to Morty, you're not capable of judging these situations on your own. Now Rick takes the opportunity right there to infer that they're calling him stupid. He says, what do you mean? Are you calling him stupid? Beth defends Jerry, saying, don't high road us. We all know that he needs help. Rick is so smart. He's taken the opportunity to, make them look like they think Morty's dumb, to reinforce to themselves that they think he's stupid. And they've just said he's got some sort of disability, and that he needs to go to school in order to get anywhere in life, to get smarter. And he's going to have to work twice as hard. So now that they all believe that Morty's stupid, he's got them right where he wants them to be. He asks Morty the square root of pi, which he is able to say. Why? Because he's got mega nuts up his butt. First law of thermodynamics. And he says it. See, I told the both of you that school is stupid, that's not how you learn things. So, from the very beginning, that first thing he said about how school is not for smart people, he had already planned that. That's part of his big plan. Now he's taking the credit for it. He's saying, Morty's smart like me. He's too smart for school. He's only going to get anywhere if he comes with me. He's got to help me. And he's changing Beth and Jerry's mind.
What am I supposed to do? Say no? You really wear the pants around here. I just want you to know, between us from now on, it's going to be 100% honesty and open, clear communication.
I think he was frozen to death today.
No idea what you're talking about.
Morty, it's your bedtime in an hour. Don't stay up all night again. This can work. You can be a family. And now Beth, if you'll have me.
So Beth and Jerry think that everything's okay. Their emotions are balanced out again. That's all Rick's done. But because they're balanced and it's to do with this subject, now they feel like what Rick's doing with Morty is a good thing. Now Rick tells Morty about how it's just the mega seeds, and it's really going to hurt him quite a lot. He's going to be paralyzed for 72 hours. So it just goes to show that Rick doesn't really care what he puts Morty through. And now Rick says, seems like a lie. He says, I needed those seeds really bad. And I had to use them to get your parents off my back. But I think he's just saying that to Morty, so Morty never suspects that whole ordeal was to get his parents off his back. Well, yeah, he's not lying there.
And they'll tear us apart, Morty. But if you stick with me, I'm gonna accomplish great things.
Again, people will talk about stuff that they don't understand. Those are the most, not dangerous people, but they're the hardest, most infuriating people because they take their first inferences just true. They don't use prudence. They don't hang back and say, they can't admit, I don't know yet. And the reason they can't do that is because they don't use discernment. They don't take information, everything's information, and run it through their discernment and verify it